For nearly 150 years, OMF has used the blueprint that God gave Hudson Taylor, our founder. We send people to East Asia who plant churches by creatively adapting to the culture. As locals come to faith, they're encouraged to plant their own indigenous churches, repeating the model. Authentically Asian churches then spread throughout the region and beyond. A key factor in all of this is creative thinking.
Some of the ways that we have used here in Japan, making use of the culture in Japan to make contacts and to tell people about Christ, is through Japanese pop music. For instance, one Christmas we organized a singing group and we sang a mixture of Christmas carols with Japanese pop music, and we did song chats about Jesus using the contents from the Japanese pop songs, and that worked very well. And I also joined the fan club of a local popular boys band. On the internet, there are various fan clubs and fan groups that I could join, and I joined those. And that gave me a lot of opportunities to meet other fans. And if I use songs sung by the group, then and write about Jesus, people really respond and give very good comments.
Our approach to mission also involves recognizing emerging Asian leaders and offering them support and guidance.
In the early 80s, I was serving as a medical doctor in Singapore. And during that time, God called me and my wife separately to enter into full-time ministry. Our first thought was to contact OMF and to make ourselves available. And OMF advised that we ought to get theological studies. We felt that we were interested in Indonesia. And so OMF said that in order to do that, I needed to get ordained. So I got ordained in the Methodist Church. And we were waiting for an opportunity to serve in Indonesia. And an opportunity did come. So we prayed about it, but I felt that that didn't quite fit in with, what I felt God was calling me to do. And this was confirmed by an experienced OMF missionary who had served in Indonesia. He advised that I should remain in Singapore and serve the Lord in the church here in Singapore. Those were very inspiring inputs into my life in those early days. Well, God has been good, and my ministry has expanded, starting from working among young people to pastoring local churches to teaching in a seminary at Trinity Theological College, becoming its principal, and then presently serving as Bishop of the Methodist Church in Singapore. Well, one of the joys of doing ministry is to see one's ministry reproduced and multiplied. And in this respect, I've had great joy in seeing some of the youth that I've mentored ending up as pastors and missionaries. I really praise God for this expanding ministry.
Risk-taking is crucial to what we do. Hudson Taylor said, "Unless there is an element of risk in our exploits for God, there is no need for faith."
The work that I do in Asia always carries with it some element of risk. I've personally been denied visas, been told that I was subversive, that I was dangerous to the internal security of the nation, of people that I've personally trained and worked with. In the last 15 years, 4 of them have been murdered simply because they're Christians. About 40 of them have spent time in jail for their faith or their effective evangelistic witness. There's always an element of risk in the work that we do. But I believe the risk of hell is a much greater risk and justifies it. If I were to die so that someone could live forever and go to heaven, I would do it in a second. But taking risk does not mean walking blindly into the dark with no idea of what might happen to you. Risk-taking is not recklessness or uninformed zeal. Risk-taking is to know your context well and to move into it knowing that there might be consequences for you and for the local people you're working with. When we do work in Asia, we must maintain a sharp focus on our end vision. Our end vision in OMF is to see a movement of churches which plant churches full of people who are obeying Christ and reaching out in mission. When we first went to the country that I worked in a 7-province area, there was one church. It was like a black hole of the gospel. And today we see one movement in that area of 28 new daughter churches, 3,100 new believers just since the year 2000. There are people worshiping the Lord in 7 different languages in that area that were never calling out to Him before. After 15 years, I can honestly say I have seen God do everything and more than I ever dreamed I would be a part of in my entire life.
In recent years, we've seen amazing church growth across Asia. But that's not the whole story. God has also been inspiring, fulfilling, and transforming our workers. Are you willing to let Him challenge you too through this video? Ask God now how you can be part of His exciting plan for Asia.